morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. I'm Ron Brown. I'll be your host today. This is Tech for Senior. This is episode 159. It is April the 17th, 2023. If you're in the audience today, thank you so much for coming. We get our inspiration from your support. If you are over on YouTube, thank you for coming. If you are watching this as a YouTube short, please just click the link and it'll take you right to the show. And thank you as well for coming and watching the show. So big thanks to everyone. This is, we're going to be with you for about an hour, maybe a bit longer if you're with the Q&A. And then we have, of course, some more videos for you, which we'll talk about in a minute. Before I introduce everybody, just to tell everyone what the agenda is today. We'll be starting with, of course, what I'm doing now is the introduction, and Bob will be doing his security news update. Bill James is going to talk about Mac tips, 6 ways to click with a mouse. So we've got, well done. We'll see what Bill has to say about that. And then we have a special for you today. Mike Ungerman is going to talk on tax incentives for buying an EV. And you have one day to do it because I guess your tax day is tomorrow. So in the United States, you can race out and buy an EV car today and you can claim it on your income tax. We'll tell you how to do that and all the great things it's going to do for you as well today. I'm going to tell you how to supercharge your Gmail with AI. I'm going to show you how to do that. But it's a long video, so we've got it in 2 parts. It'll be part 1 this week and part 2 next week. Ray, of course, has his music today. I'm not going to tell you what it is. He's sworn me to secrecy. I can't possibly let everybody know, unless, of course, you saw the newsletter, which brings me up to another point. We do publish 2 newsletters a week, and we publish one on Tuesday and one on Saturday. And on our Saturday newsletter, we publish the agenda for today, as well as our premiere video, which we'll be watching, which will be shown at 1:30. And in the premiere video today, I'm going to talk on stroke prevention and how smartwatches can help with that. Huey's going to talk about what is a browser cookie. He's going to tell you all about cookies. And Bob's going to talk on tech support for with scammers. So all sorts of good stuff that will occur at 1:30. And I'll be putting the link in the show notes. Now, as well, in our Saturday newsletter, I publish my favorite YouTube channel of that week. And the one that I put in this week was Fix This House, and it's a channel I watch all the time. It's a DIY channel, and if you ever had a hanger that falls out of the drywall, or you've got something in the house that needs to be fixed, and how do you do this real simple and easy? Well, this guy's amazing. He has a huge following, and he tells you how to fix excuse me, leaky taps, drywall, whatever's wrong in your house. But you can do it with simple things that you have in the house. I'm addicted. I've been watching his videos now for a couple of weeks, and he's absolutely great. So if you have a house, you need to fix things, which we all do. It's a great channel, and that was in our Saturday newsletter. The big announcement today, I don't know if you saw that in the news today. We'll be talking about it on our Thursday show, because yes, we do have another show. We do 2 shows a week. Will be on this Thursday, and the big announcement today was Samsung is going to ditch Google, and they're going to use Bing as their default browser now in their all their devices. Big announcement just this morning. We'll talk more about this developing story on Thursday. The Tech for Senior guys will all be there on Thursday. We're going to talk more about that. Big announcement this morning. Let me introduce everybody. Today we've got a big show for you, so we want to get going. Huey, what's new with you? Besides coming to happy hours, what have you been doing?
Actually, you gave me a little bit of time off this weekend, so I've been doing other things. I had gotten up to about 1,000 emails in my inboxes, and my mail washer stopped working. So I have been trying to go through all of my emails and sort them and get rid of the ones I don't want. And what's happening is that I stop at all the AI newsletters that I get, and I start clicking on all the links, and then I have to open up, and then I have to set it up and put a password in. And all of a sudden, one email takes me an hour or two. So I didn't get too far.
I have the solution for you today. I'm going to show you something that's going to solve all your problems. I'm going to solve them for you. Yes,
That's
yes, I
wonderful.
will. Yes, I will. Bob, how are you doing today?
Just fine. Oh, like Huey, busy with AI. Actually, I spent quite a bit of time over the weekend revising my presentation on AI. It has to constantly be updated.
It does.
You know, because what was relevant 2 weeks ago, it's no longer relevant. Things change, so
There you go.
it's keeping me very busy.
And Bill James, are you Mac now? Or are you Windows? Are you Linux? I always get confused with what are you doing now? What?
I really have no idea.
All right.
I just enjoy experimenting and working in all those different OSs, and it's been kind of fun.
Right.
So, as I said before, a jack of all trades and a master of none. I think that applies to my situation. But
Well, I said to I said to Bill earlier today, I look at our excuse me, I look at our stats all the time, and last time when Bill did a Mac talk, our stats on our pub on YouTube went like crazy. It like tripled our viewing. So I said, this is a great. I'll watch this show very carefully and see if when we talk about Mac, if again the same thing happens. So I'm anxiously waiting to see what happens with the show.
I think it was an anomaly. So
Yeah,
we'll see.
we'll see. And Ray, how many fingers am I holding up?
14. A week ago today, I wasn't here because I was having cataract surgery on my right eye. And a week from today, I won't be here because I'll be having cataract surgery on my left eye. So right now I'm in this transition period, which is kind of strange. The one good eye is healing and the other one obviously the same, but you know, you make little adjustments in your life and you get through with it. But at this point, but any kind of distance, I don't need glasses anymore.
Good stuff. I'm glad it's all going well for you. And Mike, you got a smile on your face. Are you charging now, or what's happening with
Very, very rainy day here in Florida today.
see, not quite there yet with the power, right? All right. Well, we look forward to your big talk today, and maybe we'll have some people racing out to buy a car before the tax tomorrow, and they can get their rebate, right?
Could be.
You either give it to the government or give it to the car dealership. So you get your choice, eh? There you go. All right, let's get going. What time is it here? Yeah, we should probably get moving on this because we've got a big show today. Bob, are you ready to roll?
Here is the Security News Roundup for the week ending April 14th, 2023. FBI warning, don't plug your phone in at airports. The FBI is now recommending travelers completely avoid USB outlets in airports. Using these freely available USB outlets isn't the best idea. The reason for this is juice jacking, a hacking method that uses illegally altered USB outlets to skim smartphone data. Today, an official FBI Twitter account tweeted out a warning to travelers. Avoid using free charging stations in airports, hotels, or shopping centers. The best way to avoid juice jacking is to simply not use public USB outlets. If you need to top up, plug directly into a traditional outlet using your own wall adapter, use a portable power bank, or hold off as long as possible until you're near an outlet you can trust. Read more at androidauthority.com. FBI arrests 21-year-old Air Force Guardsman in Pentagon leak case. The arrest of Jack Teixeira, 21, comes following a fast-moving search by the U.S. government for the identity of the leaker who posted classified documents to a social media platform popular with video gamers. Teixeira was arrested in Massachusetts without incident, Garland said, and will be arraigned in federal court there. The investigation is ongoing. We will share more information at the appropriate time, the Attorney General said, declining to answer questions. The question I'd like to ask is, why was the government gathering this information in the first place? Read more at CNN.com. Canadian cloud accounting unicorn leaks WordPress admin credentials. The Cybernews research team discovered unsecured access to sensitive data belonging to Toronto-based cloud accounting software company FreshBooks. The firm exposed WordPress users managing the company's website, its source code, and server backups. It posed a significant security threat as malicious actors could have hijacked the company's website. The leaked passwords were hashed using the easily crackable WordPress MD5 PHPass hashing algorithm, leaving users' accounts vulnerable to hijacking. Read more at cybernews.com. Cody confirms data breach. 400,000 users' records and private messages stolen. Open source media player software provider Cody has confirmed a data breach after threat actors stole the company's MyBB forum database containing user data and private messages. What's more, the unknown threat actor attempted to sell the data dump, compromising 400,635 Cody users on the now defunct breach forum cybercrime marketplace. MyBB admin logs show the account of a trusted but currently inactive member of the forum admin team was used to access the web-based MyBB admin console twice, on the 16th of February and again on the 21st of February, Cody said in an advisory. Read more at thehackernews.com. Microsoft issues patches for 97 flaws, including active ransomware exploit. It's the second Tuesday of the month, and Microsoft has released another set of security updates to fix a total of 97 flaws impacting its software, one of which has been actively exploited in ransomware attacks in the wild. 7 of the 97 bugs are rated critical and 90 are rated important in severity. Interestingly, 45 of the shortcomings are remote code execution flaws, followed by 20 elevation of privilege vulnerabilities. The updates also follow fixes for 26 vulnerabilities in its Edge browser that were released over the past month. Read more at thehackernews.com. ChatGPT security. OpenAI bug bounty program offers up to $20,000 in prizes. OpenAI, the company behind the massively popular ChatGPT AI chatbot, has launched a bug bounty program in an attempt to ensure its systems are safe and secure. To that end, it has partnered with the crowdsourced security platform BugCrowd for independent researchers to report vulnerabilities discovered in its products in exchange for rewards ranging from $200 for low-severity findings up to $20,000 for exceptional discoveries. It's worth noting that the program does not cover model safety or hallucination issues, wherein the chatbot is prompted to generate malicious code or other faulty outputs. Read more at the Hacker News. Italy, the first country in the world to ban ChatGPT, said OpenAI could restore access to the chatbot if it adopts a series of measures to protect data privacy, including allowing users to correct or delete the incorrect things ChatGPT says about them. In a news announcement on Wednesday, the Italian Data Protection Authority, known as the Guarantee, stressed that OpenAI needed to be more transparent about its data collection processes and inform users about their data rights with regards to the generative AI. If those stipulations are agreed to in Italy, they'll eventually become requirements everywhere. Read more at gizmodo.com. This week's must-see on my YouTube channel. Two-factor authentication, 2FA. Why use it? What are the best options? Remember, your password will be stolen. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. To stay safe, remember that 1 + 1 = 2FA. Please watch my video on this topic at the link listed. Did you know? Lego has an underground vault with every set ever made. According to a Japanese study, looking at cute animal pictures can boost your focus. Nintendo's first hit toy was the Ultra Hand, which was a mechanical arm that, like a scissor lift, used overlapping, crisscross braces to extend the user's reach. Failure is a part of success. There is no such thing as a bed of roses all your life. But failure will never stand in the way of success if you learn from it. Thanks to Hank Aaron. I just thought you might want to know. And that wraps up my security news roundup for this week. Stay safe, stay secure, and I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Bob. That's thanks a lot. Good information. And the bad guys are working hard at it, I see.
Do they ever stop?
All right. Bill, are you there?
I am.
We are waiting for this.
Good morning, everyone. Mac OS tips. Learning the Mac from a Windows user's view. For learning the Mac for Windows users. 6 ways to right-click a Mac without a mouse, plus 4 tips. Before we get into the details of this presentation, any comparison of Macs and PCs needs to note that Macs are PCs. In fact, as Apple used to say in the boilerplate of every press release, Apple ignited the personal computer revolution in the 1970s with Apple II and reinvented the personal computer in the 1980s with the Macintosh. Nor is it, strictly speaking, a comparison between Mac operating systems and Windows, because a Mac can actually run Windows. The operating system on a PC or Mac is a fundamental part of the user experience. Windows 8 was something of a car crash in terms of design and customer satisfaction. Thankfully, Windows 11 is turning out to be a good OS, but there's still a long way to go. You ask, why are we doing this? It is curiosity to find out what Windows has that Mac OS doesn't, or what features Mac OS has that Windows doesn't. The fact is that over the years, the two operating systems have become more and more similar in terms of features. If you are a Windows user moving to the Mac, then we think you won't miss anything, And the same goes from the move from a Mac OS to Windows. But learning a new operating system is the frustrating factor in any switch. The benefits have to outweigh the disadvantage of the unfamiliar. For anyone who's already used to iPhone or iPad, we feel that the Mac OS will be familiar even if you use Windows, which may be a good reason to move over to Mac. However, unlike Windows, the Mac OS does not support touchscreens. So let's talk about 6 ways to right-click on a Mac without a mouse. Like Windows, right-clicking on a Mac is a useful tool as it gives you the ability to copy and paste, reload a tab, save or print a page, or even check grammar. If you don't have a mouse on hand, don't panic. There are various ways to right-click on a Mac without having to buy a mouse, including trackpad gestures and keyboard shortcuts. To utilize the full scope and functionality of this method, make sure that the tap to click is enabled in the System Settings app. To enable this method, go to System Settings, Trackpad, Secondary Click, then under the drop-down menu, select Click or Tap with 2 fingers. Our tip number 1, having trouble finding the Settings app? Newer versions of the Mac OS, including the latest Mac OS Ventura, label the Settings app as System Settings instead of System Preferences. The 2-finger click. The first method involves the MacBook trackpad or a standalone Magic Trackpad. Is also the default option, calling the 2-finger click. When you click, tapping 2 fingers on the trackpad will act as a control click, otherwise known as a right click. This method is undoubtedly the most popular with Mac users due to its ease and simplicity, and it can be further adjusted to suit a user's preferences. Windows laptop users will be familiar with this method as well. The corner click. An alternative to the 2-finger click is the corner click option. Using only a single finger to tap the designated corner of the trackpad will serve as a right click, bringing up the options menu. The corner click can also be enabled in the System Settings app. To enable this method, go to System Settings, Trackpad, Secondary Click. Under the drop-down menu, select either click in the bottom right corner or click in the bottom left corner. Our tip number 2, if your Mac feels slow or unresponsive, clearing the cache on your Mac to free up storage space may help improve performance and efficiency. Number 3, the control click. The final method involves using your keyboard and trackpad, same as Windows, to perform a right click. While this right click method is very simple, it potentially requires more effort as you need to use 2 hands at once. To right click using this tandem method, hold down the control key on your keyboard while performing a single click. This keyboard command is enabled by default, meaning there's no need to go into System Settings to enable it. Number 4, Force Touch. If you're using a MacBook Pro from early 2015 or later, a MacBook Air from 2018 or later, a 12-inch Retina MacBook from 2015 or later, or the Magic Trackpad 2, you have access to the Force Touch feature. Force Touch trackpads utilize a combination of pressure sensitivity and haptic vibration feedback to simulate clicks. To enable this feature, head to System Settings, Keyboard, then enable Lookup and Data Detectors, and Force Click and Haptic Feedback. To right-click using Force Touch, simply press firmly on the trackpad with either 1 or 3 fingers, depending on your customization. The functionality of this method means you can adjust the haptic feedback, latency, and tracking speed of the trackpad to your personal preferences. Our tip number 3, not sure what Mac you have? You can find your Mac's model name and serial number in just a few clicks. System settings, Apple ID, devices. Number 5, our virtual keyboard. Accessibility settings can help you customize your Mac to meet your own personal workflow needs. For instance, accessing the Mac's virtual keyboard. Tip number 4, when you use an app in full screen mode, it'll cover the whole Mac screen, which is perfect for avoiding distractions. However, you won't be able to see your menu bar at the top or the dock at the bottom, but you can still access them by moving your pointer to your menu bar or dock's location. Mouse key shortcuts. If you want to learn how to right-click on a Mac without using the trackpad, the solution is to utilize accessibility settings within the System Settings app. You can enable mouse key shortcuts to simplify your workflow. If you can't access your keyboard either, you can combine this method with the virtual keyboard. Press Command plus Option plus F5 to bring up accessibility options without a mouse. Enable mouse keys, then select Done. Activate right-click menu by pressing Function plus Control plus I. Frequently asked questions. What are some things you can do with a right-click? Typically, like Windows, you can achieve quite a lot with a mere right-click. Not only will it give you access to a variety of options, it will also speed up your workflow within individual applications. Some of these options include copy and paste, save and print pages, reopen a web page, unpin an app, edit a photo, and check spelling and grammar. Question: why would I need to use an alternate right-click method? There could be many reasons to switch up your method of right-clicking. Maybe it's for practical reasons, or perhaps your mouse or trackpad no longer works. An alternative could be that you're trying to save time using mouse key shortcuts. This would be particularly helpful for people who are more tech savvy or using specific software applications. What method is most effective? This is entirely subjective. However, the most popular right-click method with Mac users seems to be the two-finger click. This may be due to practicality compared to other options that require the additional use of a keyboard or two hands. Additionally, if you have a choice to implement force touch, the haptic feedback and functionality of the Magic Trackpad can greatly optimize this method through personal customization. There is also an interesting argument for using mouse keys if you are familiar with shortcuts. Is there a way to right-click with the touch bar on a MacBook Pro? Unfortunately, if you have a MacBook Pro with a touch bar, the touch bar alone is not enough to prompt the right-click options menu. You can, however, configure your touch bar to add keys from your keyboard to the panel. For example, you can add the Control key to your touch bar and right-click using the Control-click method mentioned earlier. Our sources is Make Tech Easier, April 12, 2023. 6 Ways to Right-Click on a Mac Without a Mouse by Daniel Bott. The image credits are from Pixel, all screenshots by Daniel Bott. Daniel is a tech enthusiast with a background in filmmaking, formerly a digital journalist for the BBC. He writes online and directs commercials. He's a strong advocate for utilizing evolving technology and pushing it to its limits. Thank you, Bill James, Mac OS Tips, Tech for Seniors. Back to you, Ron.
Thanks a lot. Ray will be doing the questions in our Q&A. Okay. Thanks a lot, Bill. That was really, that's great. Before we get to going on Mike Ungerman's section now, I just wanted to remind everyone that we do have, if you do want to donate to Tech for Senior and help us pay the bills, like Tom Euler did this week, please do so. You'll find the link on our website and all the videos that we make. Thank you, Tom, for your generous donation this week. Mike, I'll play your video for you. Is that okay?
That'll be great, and I'll be posting links in the chat.
That's great. And then you'll be around for the Q&A afterwards.
Hi, I'm Mike Ungerman of the Central Florida Computer Society. Today we'll continue with the 6th in a series on electric vehicles. In our previous presentations, we reviewed the technology of electric vehicles, their batteries, and introduced charging methods. Tomorrow, April 18th, 2023, is tax day in the US, so we're going to take a diversion from technology and look at the tax incentives of purchasing an EV in the US and Canada. Income tax rules and regulations are different for the US and Canada, so we'll address them separately, starting with the US. Any discussion of income tax credits for the purchase of a new vehicle should ultimately be discussed with your tax preparer. So do not take any information provided in this presentation as personal tax advice, nor rely specifically on any statements as recommendations in making a decision to purchase an electric vehicle. In other words, do your research and verify the sources you search online, or discuss with your accountant, bookkeeper, or tax advisor. There are 3 major categories in the US for tax incentives for the purchase of a new or used vehicle. New plug-in fuel cell vehicles purchased before 2023. New plug-in and fuel cell vehicles purchased in or after 2023. Pre-owned plug-in and fuel cell electric vehicles purchased in or after 2023. The reference for the majority of my research is from the U.S. Department of Energy, Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy. This is their website. Let's take a quick look. You can see the 3 major categories, and you can drill down in each category to the tabs which I have displayed above, and I'll reference in this presentation. Let's look at the first category. New plug-in and fuel cell vehicles purchased before 2023. You can receive a federal tax credit up to $7,500, which varies based on the capacity of the battery used to power the vehicle. It must have a weight of not more than 14,000 pounds. It must have an electric motor of not less than 4 kilowatt hours. If you purchase and take possession between 8/17/22 and 12/31/22, final assembly of the vehicle must be in North America. The credit phases out for vehicles at the beginning of the 2nd calendar quarter after the sale of 200,000 vehicles from 1/1/2010. Let's take a look at that tab. So here's all the information on the federal tax credit I just quoted. You can take a look at the requirements as well in greater detail. The nice thing about these pages is that you can then filter a table of eligible vehicles by given specifications. Let's take a look at before August 17th. You can then choose specific dates. You can take and drill down on a manufacturer and a model, or you can choose a particular type vehicle. I'll choose plug-in hybrids. Now you can see all of the plug-in hybrids that are eligible for the credit and the dates that it's eligible for and what you could get as your full credit. Now let's look at new plug-in and fuel cell vehicles purchased in 2023 or after. You can receive a federal tax credit up to $7,500, which varies based on the MSRP, final assembly location, and the purchaser's modified adjusted gross income. So now you have an income test. It must have a weight of not more than 14,000 pounds. It must have a battery capacity of not less than 7 kilowatt hours. It must be made by a qualified manufacturer according to the IRS. Final assembly of the vehicle must be in North America. After April 18th, it must meet critical minerals and battery component sourcing requirements. And the MSRP can't exceed $80,000 for vans, SUVs, and light trucks. Other vehicles, normal cars, for example, cannot exceed $55,000. Let's take a look at the website. Similar page with the requirements and the ability then to enter your filters. Let's take a look at all electrics. And let's, for example, the Cadillac Lyriq, I can get a 75,000 credit and the MSRP, and it goes on. Now let's look at pre-owned plug-in and fuel cell vehicles purchased in 2023 or later. A federal tax credit is based on 30% of the sales price up to $4,000. It must have a sales price of $25,000 or less and have a model year at least 2 years earlier than the year of purchase. The purchaser must pass a modified adjusted gross income limit, as before. It must have a weight of not more than 14,000 pounds. It must have an electric motor of not less than 7 kilowatt hours. The transaction must be with a dealer. The credit is non-refundable. You can't get back more than you owe in taxes, and it can't be applied to future years' taxes. So let's take a look at that page. Once again, you could here calculate your credit if you know the sales price. And you can take a look at the requirements. We can go to the same table. We can choose plug-in hybrids for an example and scroll down through the many vehicles that meet the requirements and see which ones will actually be eligible for you to buy used. There are some additional U.S. resources that I think are germane when you take a look and start your investigation, 2 from the IRS and 1 from the Department of Energy. Let's actually take a look at those. First from the IRS is a page on manufacturers and models for new qualified vehicles purchased in 2023 or after, with the assembly requirements. And then you can go take a look at the manufacturers and you can drill down and see the vehicles themselves. You see, not everybody has got the individual models listed as of now, but this will update on a regular basis. Next is a PDF document fact sheet from the IRS. This one will update periodically as rulings are made. I expect to see one come out, if not today, tomorrow, or this week, that will update many of these topics. They're going to address eligibility rules, income and price limitations, when the requirements apply, eligibility for each one of the previously owned vehicles, income and price limitations, claiming previously owned vehicle credit, and qualified consumer clean vehicles credit. A lot of reading. Then we have a page that actually lets you pick when you're going to buy the vehicle. And if you scroll down, if you've got a vehicle in mind and the dealer can provide you with the VIN number, you can enter the VIN number and see in advance whether the vehicle will meet the qualifications. Now let's switch over and take a look at the Canadian federal tax incentives for new EVs. In Canada, they're known as zero emission vehicles, or IZEV. In order to encourage the adoption of ZEVs, Canada launched this program in May of 2019, which has been extended to 2025 depending on funding. If the battery's range is greater than 50 kilometers, essentially for a plug-in electric vehicle, then they're eligible for up to $5,000 in a tax incentive. If the battery's range is less than 50 kilometers, specifically a PHEV, then they're eligible for an incentive of up to $2,500. Passenger cars MSRP must be less than $55,000, and you can have upgrades up to a maximum of $65,000 total price. Station wagons, light truck, SUV, minivans, they are less than $60,000, and again, upgrades up to a maximum of $70,000. Then there are provincial tax incentives for new EVs. British Columbia cars can have an MSRP maximum of $55,000. Station wagons, minivans, SUV, light trucks, and passenger vans have an MSRP maximum of $70,000. British Columbia adds an income test to their rebate requirements, which are shown here. In Quebec, you have both new and used EV tax credits. New BEVs have an MSRP maximum of $60,000 and a rebate of $7,000 max. New PHEVs have an MSRP maximum of $60,000 with the rebate calculated on the size of the battery. So it's either $5,000, $2,500, or $300. Used EVs must meet manufacturer's requirements, have a 4 kilowatt hour battery or more. It must have been purchased at a dealer and be 3 or 4 years old. Maximum rebate is $3,500. Incentives are also available for home charging stations at work, and multi-unit building charging stations. I have a bunch of Canadian references. I've also got them queued up, and the links I will provide. We'll take a quick look at those. Drive Canada, or Drive Electric, I should say, is a Canadian site which helps you find EVs across Canada and take a look at their specific requirements. Federal requirements. Here is the press release talking about their zero-emission vehicle credits. They're light-duty zero emissions, and it's showing that it's continuing until March 31st, 2025, or until available funding is exhausted. Then a breakdown of the purchase and lease incentives and links to help you find the vehicles and their eligibility dates. And then a listing of eligible vehicles in a table. Ron showed me the one for his new Toyota. Here's the British Columbia site for individuals, the requirements and their income requirements, and the vehicles that you can get your rebates and when you can get them and how to apply. They also help you find the EVs, filter by make and model, price ranges, and then see the EVs that meet the requirements. Here's Quebec's, their new vehicle rebate, the home charging station rebate, used vehicle rebate, charging stations at work, multi-unit building charging stations. And then you can do both a new and a used vehicle rebate search, very much like you can do in the US websites to drill down and find the vehicles that meet the requirements. I have archived a number of YouTube videos, as many of you know. I've got a new video now, or new playlist that is my tax credits. Here's a screenshot of the archive page. And I've also placed that on my blog. Here's the link for my blog, and that will be published in the Tech for Seniors newsletter. So, reducing your cost of EV ownership may benefit from a tax incentive provided by the US or Canada. A lot of research is required in advance of purchasing or leasing your new or used EV, given the complexity of our tax codes. The financing choice of your vehicle, purchase, cash, lease, loan, that can determine whether you're eligible for a tax credit or whether you get it or a leasing company may get it. The following presentations will probably continue on EV technology. We did not finish our charging review. We did our overview, and I'd like to focus next time on level 3 charging using DC chargers available at commercial, private, and public sites. So stay tuned.
And as I mentioned, I have posted in the chat my blog site and the links that we covered in today's presentation.
Thanks, Mike. That's great. And don't forget, Mike's playlist that has all this is in our Saturday newsletter. So it's there. And thanks. I have some questions for you as well. We'll talk about that in the Q&A. So we'll do that. All right. Now we're going to move on. I wanted to talk about AI using Gmail, and I have a video prepared. The video is too long to play in the short time that we have left, so I've cut it up into 2 sections. So we'll play this just until the music outro. We start the music outro. So I'll let me just get going here, and we'll start this. Ron Brown with Tech for Senior. If you're like most people, your email inbox can quickly become overwhelming. With dozens, if not hundreds of messages flooding your inbox every day, it can be difficult to stay on top of things and manage your time efficiently. That's where artificial intelligence comes in. By using machine learning algorithms, Gmail can help you prioritize your messages, write emails faster, and even schedule appointments with ease. In this article, we'll explore 5 specific ways that AI can supercharge your Gmail productivity so you can get more done in less time. Today, I'm going to be showing you artificial intelligence in Gmail using a Chrome extension called Compose AI. This extension has a free and paid component. Today, I'll be using the free component, and at the end of the video, I'll be giving you my impression and recommendation. To obtain this extension, we'll just go over to the Compose AI website and download the extension for our Chrome browser. It easily installs. It will be available for you right after installation. You can turn the extension on or off, and in my experience, it works quickly and doesn't interfere with the speed of your computer. It sits as resident in your Gmail software. So in this video, I'm going to be going over 5 features of Compose AI that will help you increase your productivity in Gmail. So the first feature of Compose AI I'm going to show you is called Compose Anything. Let's have a look. All right, here we are in my Gmail account, and I have created an email that we're going to put some body and text into. You'll see that I have installed Compose AI. You'll see that at the bottom here it says written with Compose AI. And to start AI, all that you have to do is put your cursor in the body of the text and 2 forward slashes. And this brings up, of course, the Compose AI menu. So the first thing you'll notice when you forward slash twice, you'll see that it brings up the AI menu. So when using AI for writing, the first thing you want is to define what thing you want. And if you come down the menu here, of course, you can type anything you want in this line, but let's come down because Compose AI has already predefined some templates for you. Let's have a look at this. An outline, a bullet list, a headline, a paragraph about, a couple of paragraphs about, a sentence about, a few ideas, a bit of more information, or an email too. So it can pre-select that, or you can type anything in here. And once you define what it is you want written, like a thing, then you have to fill in what the thing is about. So for example, if you're going to write an email, you want to ask it to write an email about something. So you have to put something in there once you've decided what type of structure you want. And I'll give you an example on how this is going to work. So in this example, I'm going to send Huey Popluck an idea I have for an upcoming program at Tech for Senior. I'm going to talk about satellite internet. So I've asked Compose AI to write an outline for a blog post on the benefits of satellite internet. So I'm going to create an outline and I want to send this to Huey. So I've typed in the appropriate terminology, hit enter, and now it's going to write a blog post for me. And here we come up with the blog post. And I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but you have the idea that it's written it all out for me. All right, so Huey has received my email and sent me an email back and said, Ron, this is a great idea. Continue on and send me copies of the final. So I'm going to come back down to my outline, and I'm going to look here and see the first really the importance. I want to elaborate on the importance of internet connectivity in today's society. So I'm simply going to highlight this, and we're going to copy it. Right click and copy. And then we're going to come down to a couple of lines below. I'm going to open up with 2 forward slashes. We're going to open up Compose AI, and we're going to come down here, and I'm going to say, write a couple of paragraphs about. So I want about 2 paragraphs. I don't want this too long. And then what we're going to do is we're going to paste that into what we've copied. So now it says, write a couple of paragraphs about the importance of internet connectivity in today's society. Okay, let's see what it says. And here we go. So now we have the section here. It's written, overall, the importance of internet connectivity will only continue to grow as we come, so on and so forth. So it's written 2 paragraphs about the importance of internet connectivity in today's society. And again, you can expand this and go through all the different outline that we've just created and make a article or blog post. I can then send that back to Huey right from here because we are in Gmail. So we'll just add that and say final blog post, and away we go. So stay tuned for part 2 next week. We'll finish that off next week, and you'll be able to see the full video on our channel this week as well. All right, Ray, just before we get started, I want to thank everyone for coming over on YouTube. This is when we stop our YouTube feed. But don't forget, we have another show this week on Thursday. And if you want to come over for the Q&A, we still have lots of room here in our Zoom meeting. So if you want to pop over, we'll let you in and you can participate in the Q&A. Okay, Ray, I'm just going to stop the feed now and we will let you take it away.
All right, I'm going to be talking about topical folk songs, but with also beautiful harmony. Now, by the time the early 1960s arrived, my personal music tastes were changing. Some might say maturing. I was drawn to the newly emerging folk music scene and discovered Bob Dylan long before he became a household name. The first non-rock and roll concert I attended was seeing Dylan at Carnegie Hall in 1963. But I did miss the multi-part harmonies of the human voice, and with his new genre, until I learned or heard for the first time Peter, Paul, and Mary. Now, the following 4 paragraphs from ChatGPT provide interesting background information. Peter, Paul, and Mary are a legendary folk singing group from the 1960s, known for their unique harmonies and socially conscious lyrics. The trio consisted of Peter Yarrow, Paul Stuckey, and Mary Travers, and they were one of the most popular and influential musical groups of the times. Peter, Paul, and Mary formed in New York City in 1963, and their debut album was released the following year. Their music was heavily influenced by the folk revival that was taking place in the United States at the time, and they quickly became known for their protest songs and social activism. They were an important part of the civil rights movement, performing at rallies and demonstrations, and their music was a powerful tool for social change. Now, one of Peter, Paul, and Mary's most famous songs, Blowing in the Wind, was written by Bob Dylan. The song became an anthem for the civil rights movement, and it remains one of the most iconic protest songs of all time. The trio also had hits with songs like Puff the Magic Dragon, If I Had a Hammer, and Leaving on a Jet Plane. Peter, Paul, and Mary continued to perform and record music together for over 40 years until Mary's death in 2009. Their legacy lives on today, and they will always be remembered as one of the most important musical groups of the 20th century. Okay, now the Newport Folk Festival in 1963, held in Rhode Island, attracted the top folk musicians of the day, which of course included Peter, Paul, and Mary. The festival started in 1959, and believe it or not, it continues today, with the 2023 event taking place the last weekend in July. As you would expect, in the 21st century, there is now a focus on other genres, including something called alternative music, which I'm still not quite sure what that means. Anyway, the links below include the almost hour-long video documentary from which I've edited today's clip. And if you really like Peter, Paul, and Mary as much as I do, you'll want to watch that. I've also included an almost a shorter version for the music playlist. The song If I Had a Hammer was co-written by legendary folk music giant Pete Seeger, along with fellow Weavers alumni Lee Hayes, way back in 1949.
Very well. Well done, Ray. Excellent. Excellent. When you mentioned those songs in the early, their famous songs in the early first part, I love all of those. Those are all my favorite songs.
Good.
I just forgot how much I like them. It just is amazing. It's really, they were really quite influenced. I was very influenced by them.
I'm sure most of the people watching have some kind of recollection similar to that, Ron.
Yes, yes, indeed. Thanks so much. It is now top of the hour. We've done it. Another session, another show has happened. We'll be moving now into our Q&A period. If you have any questions, I have a question and a comment, so I get to go first. So I've got one for you. But yeah, I just want to remind everybody, I put the link to the premiere video, which will be starting at hour, and I'll be talking on stroke prevention. Huey's going to talk on browser cookies, what they are, and Bob's going to talk about tech support scams. So all will be occurring at hour, and that will be and I put the link in the notes for you. Don't forget, this Thursday we will be, the Tech for Senior guys will be talking on Thursday about all the news of the week, all the tech news of the week, and of course the new announcement that came out today that Samsung is ditching Google. So interesting to take over with Bing. Interesting. We'll follow that news story as it develops, and we'll talk about that on Thursday. All right, Mike, I've got a question for you. Well, a comment. One of the things, we haven't talked about that's an interesting one is many people live in condos. And one of the big issues that condo boards are faced with now is electrification of their condos, particularly in the parking garages underneath. And as you were talking about, we're talking about tax incentives for cars, I just wanted to let everyone know that, and it depends what part of the world you're in, but in British Columbia, there are really big tax incentives now, and the government is providing something like 90% of the cost to convert. So it is, you may, if you're sitting on a condo board, you haven't thought about this, you may look at your local province, state, or wherever you are, and look at the issue that's going to obviously be a big one for you if you live in a condo, is how do you electrify your parking lot underneath? So interesting question. I don't live in a condo. Mike doesn't live in a condo, so that's not an issue that we have, but it has come up with friends of mine we talk about it all the time. It is a big issue if you do live in a condo. So it will be something that you need to look at, but there are big tax incentives, at least in Canada, and I'm sure it would be as well. It probably depends on what state or the area that you live in on that issue. The other thing, Mike, that was interesting, you said in the United States it's 55,000. Anything under 55,000 qualifies. Well, I'm thinking, that's getting there's fewer and fewer cars under $55,000 that are plug-in electrics, right? So that's a bit squeaky.
It's going to be tight. Of course, Tesla has had a major price reduction.
That's true. Yes.
Yes,
that's true.
The Fisker car, which you see in my background, is an early picture of the Fisker Pear, whose MSRP is $27,990, which is most interesting. So it's well under that $55,000. Of course, you can buy upgraded things that are going to get it up into the $30,000, even $40,000 range.
Right.
And many of the companies are going to have lower price models.
Right.
And then will alternative battery materials and sources lower the price? I think we discussed on Thursday, one of the items was that the cost of lithium worldwide has significantly been reduced. That's going to lower the price of the battery, and that's going to lower the overall price of the car. So things, economies of scale, ramping up production, things are going to lower the prices.
So just to let everybody know the difference, what I drive in the car that I bought is a gas hybrid, which means that it's not a plug-in. And it was only a couple of $1,000s more than a regular gas car. So there are no tax incentives on that. And I think that's the same in Canada and the United States. There are no tax incentives on the gas hybrid. So if you move to a plug-in hybrid, the cost of that car goes up about $15,000 because of the battery technology that needs to go in it. And that's what you're getting the rebate for. In other words, that's what that $7,000 in, I guess it's both countries, is going to pay to help reduce that cost of that battery, right, Mike?
As long as you can qualify, because
Right.
now they're going to put in earning your adjusted gross income and say, if you are above a certain amount, either
Right.
single or joint or head of household, you don't qualify.
Right. Now, the interesting one was as well in the United States that you can get it on used cars, because you can't do that in Canada, which was interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Quebec has the used.
Oh, do they have a used one? Okay.
Yep,
Right.
yep, they do have the used one. Yep.
Right. George, you got the first question then. Go ahead.
So the BC Stratas change recently was only to allow an easier vote to pass at an AGM.
Right.
So instead of having 75%, you have to have only 55.
Correct.
I don't know of any great incentives anymore for the installation. There was a little bit of money available for the installation, and what I want to see is rebates for electric bicycle installation, PowerPoints and stuff like that. Where that whole area is just being ignored. Oh well, they're just bikes, And it saves as much gas. I have a gas car which is going to last me another 10 years. And I don't use it much because I'm on my electric bike all the time. Oh, by the way, everything I say is my own. It's not written by ChatGPT. I'm putting that in my signature block. Thank you.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, it's obvious that more needs to be done with that, and certainly options for us, because I have an electric bike as well. But it's hard taking it to the grocery store, because it just doesn't do well when you have to go there and secure it somehow and then come back out with your groceries and somehow get them home. It's more complicated. So anyway, Huey, go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Why? Then you can hear me. I put in the chat box a news article from this morning that the VW, the Rivian, Nissan, and BMW lose access to U.S. EV tax credits, and a link to the article.
Okay.
As I had mentioned, and a lot of what I covered had to be done very quickly because of the time limitations. I probably could have done an hour and a half presentation on this because the tax code is so confusing and so drawn out. But the Economic Impact Act is designed in part to lower reliance on countries that are outside of our economic influence, and China's one of them. And right now, the vast majority of batteries come from China, and the largest battery maker in the world is in China. But many battery makers are looking at producing batteries in the US and in Canada, and things will change. But yes, along the way, there will be vehicles that will no longer qualify because of where their batteries are manufactured.
So Mike, just to clarify, because I wasn't in Canada when I went to buy my car at Toyota, if I had bought the plug-in hybrid, then I was purchasing it, then they just put a code in, and that $5,000 federally is automatically taken off the purchase price. Like it's an automatic thing that occurs right at the dealer when the dealer is actually doing the deal, right? And so so that's how it happens in Canada. Are you saying that in the United States, then that $5,000 is a tax credit on your federal income tax? So it's
Correct.
not an immediate amount that you get right off the purchase. You have to apply for it and get it back then.
Correct. And
okay.
It is a form. The form attaches to your schedule. It's a tax credit form. We also get tax credits for, say, putting in a new HEV system,
right,
for
okay.
air conditioning, things like that.
Okay.
But for the used vehicles, it's done at the dealership.
Oh, okay.
So that one I found was most interesting.
Hmm.
And the dealership is going to actually apply it to the price of the car that you buy from him. You're still going to fill a form out. You're going to have to give it to the dealer. The dealer is going to somehow process it and file it, and then your MSRP will be reduced by that amount.
Bob, go ahead.
I'm going to play the devil's advocate because I personally think that the battery is going to be the biggest polluter we've ever seen. And I want to know when we're going to start getting some kind of tax credits toward buying a car that doesn't pollute, but that doesn't use batteries.
Right now, the hydrogen fuel cell is because it's considered an electric car, does qualify for the US tax incentives. And as Ron sent me a link, if I remember correctly, Ron, there is a new development underway for a hydrogen internal combustion engine that is not given any any tax credits, but I'm sure they will somehow do that because it doesn't pollute. It just pumps out water out the tailpipe.
There's also atomic energy that's also not being considered, but that would give you a very, very small amount of atomic energy, will last for eons. Okay,
we've got them in the satellites that we've launched out into space.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to let everyone know, I mean, I followed Toyota quite closely because I bought one, and they recently changed their CEOs, and the last CEO and also the incoming current CEO really don't, even though Toyota leads in hybrid technology, they're not committed to it. They believe hydrogen will be the future of the cars. And in fact, they make hydrogen cars. Hydrogen cars, they sold about 2,000 last year, but only in California. California has a hydrogen network that you can buy a hydrogen Toyota in California, and you can run it. So they believe the future is hydrogen, not in battery technology. So, and they're smart people. Toyota makes a lot of cars all over the world, and they are smart people. So I don't know, but in my lifetime, I think EVs are probably where we are at. But unless I lived in California, then maybe hydrogen would be an interesting one. Terry, go ahead.
Yeah, my comment was for Bill, but something came up here with Bob. If you allow atomic cars that might put the atomic material in the wrong hands. I don't think we'll ever go that route. But for Bill, he has all these suggestions and so on. He's met my sister from Maryland, but she had a stroke and her left hand is completely unusable. And so she stopped doing anything on her computer because of when you need to hit two, like Control T or V, she only has the one hand to use. Now I wonder if Bill might have some suggestion for her.
She probably could use it if she's capable. Is it her right hand or her left hand? Do you know?
Her left hand is unusable.
So was she left-handed or right-handed?
She was right-handed and has the use of her right hand.
So she probably could use a trackpad, I would think, because they allow you to just move your fingers and you can just tap like I indicated in my presentation for the Mac, but that also applies for laptops that have trackpads. And you can adjust the speed and everything of how fast you click or move the trackpad just as you would a mouse. So that might be an alternative for her.
Okay, I'm not familiar with the trackpad, but maybe we can talk about this some other time since we're in the same community.
That's just a suggestion, but I think, you know, it would take some training, retraining for her, but she would probably be able to do that.
Okay.
Logitech makes an excellent one.
Say again?
Logitech makes an excellent trackpad.
There's also in Windows sticky keys, so that these are for handicapped people to be able to press keys. It remembers them until you've finished the function you are trying to do. And
it's called what?
Sticky keys. It's a feature in Windows.
Yeah, it's under accessibility.
Right.
Okay.
I have problems with neuropathy, and I find that I'm back to the old typing method of one finger, and I use my right hand. The other thing I found really helpful is some of the voice commands that you can use through Google or even Windows. I try to use the dictation features of the Google Assistant on my phone because the keys are so small and my fingers are so fat that I have a great deal of difficulty with, you know, typing out a chat, you know, a message or what have you. So I would really explore the vocal assistants that are available for people with the different disabilities, including vision, as mine's disappearing.
Yeah. I've thought about the voice capability.
Another option that you have available is a program that I've been using for decades now. I have a mild handicap with my right hand, so I use a program called Dragon Naturally Speaking. And that's a very good product for people that are handicapped because you can move the mouse around on the screen, you can open and close software, you can press keys, you can do everything you can do with your voice that you can do with your hands.
It is excellent.
In Windows 11, under the accessibility feature, you already have that built into Windows.
Not to the level, not to the higher standard of the actual paid for product.
I had a partner who had a totally disabled arm, and he ran his law practice using Dragon. So it is a really good program. It does require some training that you do with your voice so it recognizes everything, if I recall correctly, because I use the free version which unfortunately no longer exists.
Yeah, you can buy the home version is pretty cheap. You can get them for about $100, and it has about a 99% recognition accuracy right out of the box now.
All right, there.
Microsoft actually owns the technology now. Some of the Dragon Naturally Speaking technology has been incorporated into Windows 11.
She has an older version desktop, and had another thought there, it skipped me.
Terry, we got a couple more questions here before we finish. I'm just going to move on. Okay.
Just thank you, everybody. I appreciate it.
All right. Good topic, though. Maybe we should be talking about this more. There's a lot of interest in it. Maybe we should. We'll have to think about that as a topic on our show. Ivana, go ahead.
You're muted, Ivana.
My question is about the hydrogen car. Our planet is 70% water. What are we going to do with this excess wastewater?
I don't think it's going to be that much water, but they do produce water.
We could use it in California for the drought.
What drought?
Right, but is it contaminated water?
No.
No, it's pure. It's pure water.
Pure water.
The water.
Well, if we have the whole world go to hydrogen, we're going to be flooded.
No.
Everybody goes to, we're going to wind up being a waste cesspool of batteries that we have no way of really.
But they're recyclable, Bob, are they not?
To a point, eventually, just like with atomic energy, somebody's going to get stuck with the waste.
Carl, go ahead. We wanted to finish off.
Thank
Carl,
you.
go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to add that the trackball, my friend uses the trackball, there's no movement of the mouse. And once I didn't like it, but I used it because that's all she had at her house. And I'll tell you, it's addictive. It really works well.
I hadn't thought about that. That's a good one, Carl. That's trackball. Yeah, that's a good idea. Excellent.
Yeah,
Greg,
for those of you who have a Chromebook,
the problem
make sure
has
it works.
been with the fire department, and that's the big thing with the hydrogen cars. It burns almost 7 times hotter than gasoline does.
Right.
And
it's
so
also
the NFPA in the United States have really put the kibosh on it. I can remember when I was with the fire department 50 years ago, they had a couple of manufacturers that have pills that you could put in a pressurized water tank and develop the car, and geez, it went like heck. But the problem was sometimes they over put the tablets and it put too much pressure in, and then they exploded, and then we had real problems on our hands. And so the fire end of the whole thing, that has to be settled. General Motors was the one who bought up all the stuff just to control it so they wouldn't put it on the market. Anyway, I think it's a feasible item.
Yeah, just remember the Hindenburg.
Neil, go ahead.
One final thing, back in the mid-60s, GM was experimenting with hydrogen powered then. That's a Corvair van with a hydrogen power plant in it.
Yeah, that's right.
But by the way, I predict after batteries and hydrogen, somebody's going to invent gasoline.
Well, thanks everyone for coming. Thank you for a great show today. Thank you, Ray, for your music. Thanks everyone who participated. Don't forget, this Thursday we'll be talking about all sorts of interesting things. So please come and have a look. www.techforsenior.com. If there's a big red button there, you can just push that and it'll take you right to the show. Otherwise, we'll see you next week. Same time, same place. Goodbye, everyone. Don't forget our premiere 10 minutes to premiere service will start. Okay. Bye-bye now, everyone.
Bye everybody.
Bye.
Bye.